Three Chinese astronauts go into space on board the Shenzhou 16 spacecraft tomorrow. $2,000 worth of consumption vouchers to be dispersed to eligible residents from July 16th. And in Turkey, Erdogan wins another term as president, extending his rule into the third decade. Hello and welcome to TVB News. Three Chinese astronauts are due to go into space on board the spacecraft Shenzhou 16 tomorrow. Liftoff has been scheduled for 9:31 a.m. at Zhoushuan Satellite Launch Center. The spacecraft will take the three to the Tiangong space station for a crew rotation. It's the first time that the Shenzhou crew will include an aerospace engineer and a payload specialist. Mimo Sengai tells us more.
Gui Haichao, Jin Haipan, and Zhu Yangzhu are the three astronauts that will be sent to the Tiangong space station to carry out the Shenzhou 16 mission. The 56-year-old Jin, a veteran astronaut, will be the mission commander and the first Chinese to go into space for the fourth time. Back in January 1998, Jin was chosen to become one of the first group of Chinese astronauts. Previously, he participated in the Shenzhou 7, Shenzhou 9, and Shenzhou 11 manned missions. While his last mission was 7 years ago, Jin said he has never stopped training himself physically, such as doing 600 push-ups and sit-ups daily. He said he feels honored to be able to serve as a commander for the third time. One of Jin's partners, Zhu Yangzhu, will conduct his first manned mission and become the first aerospace engineer entering the space station. He used to be a professor at Space Engineering University. Meanwhile, Gui Haichao will enter the space station as a payload specialist, operating space science experiments. Unlike the other two crew members, Gui has not served in the Chinese People's Liberation Army and is regarded as the first civilian astronaut in China. The former professor at Beijing University of Aeronautics and Astronautics said he never thought that he could become an astronaut one day. The Shenzhou 16 crew will stay on board the space station for around 5 months. Meanwhile, the China Manned Space Agency announced 11 candidates from Hong Kong and Macau managed to enter the second round of selection for the fourth batch of reserve astronauts. This is the first time the two SARs are included in the selection, though candidates from the two regions can only apply for the payload specialist position. Candidates will also have to fulfill certain requirements, including holding a doctoral degree and being between 30 and 45 years old. Mimo Sengai, TVB News.
The second phase of the consumption voucher scheme worth $2,000 will be dispersed to eligible residents from July 16th. Authorities say individuals' payment platforms can be changed if needed. With the first $3,000 of the consumption voucher available since mid-April, residents can look forward to receiving the remaining $2,000 from the middle of July. The public can still receive the voucher using the same 6 payment platforms, including the Octopus Card, PayMe, and Alipay Hong Kong. Individuals wishing to continue using the same platform can do so without the need to reapply. However, those wanting to switch their payment platform must submit applications between June 5th and 27th. The High Court has rejected media tycoon Jimmy Lais' bid to terminate the national security trial against him. The 3-judge panel rules that no bias was involved in the handling of his case. Jackie Lin reports.
The ruling was the second legal setback in 2 weeks for Nix Digital founder Jimmy Lai. That's after the High Court's chief judge dismissed Lai's bid to review the ban by the Committee for Safeguarding National Security on him to hire King's counsel Timothy Owen in his defense. This time, the High Court rejected the 75-year-old's application for a permanent stay of proceedings. This as Lai questioned the impartiality of the bench and the transparency of the chief executive's appointment of designated judges for national security law-related cases. Lai described that as executive intrusion into judicial decision-making, and his trial will not be free from political interference and amounts to abuse. He added that it was a concerted effort from the National Security Committee to prevent Owen from representing him. In a unanimous decision, the three-judge panel struck down this stay of proceedings request from Jimmy Lais. The panel admitted the CE is given a wide discretion under NSL to designate judges, but they do not agree the CE is given a complete free rein. That's because those designated judges have to be a judicial officer or deputy judge in the first place, with recommendations by an independent advisory body. The panel added that the national security law was legislated in a way that protects judicial independence, and that's in line with what's guaranteed in the Basic Law. Ruling no apparent unfairness was done to Lais in the proceedings alongside the seriousness of the case, the court will carry on with Jimmy Lais' trial. The media tycoon faces a total of 4 charges.
They include 2 counts of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces and an offense linked to allegedly seditious publication. Another collusion charge has been left on court file, meaning the prosecution will only proceed with a judge's permission. The court will hold a case management conference tomorrow for Lais' case, with a 40-day trial set to begin on September 25th. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The trial of 14 people facing rioting charges over the storming of the city's legislature in 2019 began today. The defendants, aged between 19 and 42, appeared at the West Kowloon Magistrates Court. They include actor Gregory Wong and Ventus Lau, who is under police custody over the 35-plus primary poll case. The 14 defendants were charged over their alleged storming into the Legislative Council building on the night of July 1st, 2019. 7 of them pleaded guilty. They are also facing rioting charges, an offense that can be punished by up to 10 years in jail. Overseas, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his supporters are celebrating a historic election victory. The vote for a leader went to a runoff, and Erdogan defeated challenger Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. He was pushed close, but with 52% of the national poll, he is set for a 3rd decade in power. David Garrett reports.
The bell heralds a new political landscape in Turkey, although the country is continuing on the same track. It's Erdogan again, reads this Monday newspaper. 85 million went to the polls and 52% decided to stick with the president. Erdogan became prime minister in 2003 and president in 2014. But with nearly 48% voting to try to remove him, the country is divided. We have a real resentful youth, says this lawyer. But this hotel worker isn't so sure. There's a functioning system. It's not good to change. As vote counting began, it was quickly clear the opposition would be in for a disappointing night. A 3rd term gives Erdogan a stronger hand domestically and internationally. These opponents describe his rule as a monarchy. The defeated challenger, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, briefly addressed the defeat. He called the vote the most unfair election in recent years. He declared all means of the state were mobilised for a political party, although he has not contested the outcome. But these scenes tell the other side. The former mayor of Istanbul atop a campaign bus hailing voters as his success took shape. He even taunted his rival as he said, "Bye, Kemal."
Bye, Kemal.
The crowd loved it, as did many in Ankara. Thousands took to their cars to enjoy an Erdogan celebration. His AK party leading the country again. Later, the president moved to the capital and made the unusual step of opening the grounds of the presidential palace, creating a spectacular celebratory scene. Turkey is a NATO member but has close ties with Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin congratulated his dear friend. Erdogan received best wishes and praise from the US President Joe Biden, the EU, NATO Secretary General and leaders in the Middle East. Erdogan is a 69-year-old Muslim and is due to stay in power until 2028. In another speech to a joyful people below the balcony of the palace, he pledged to bring down inflation, focus on family values and relieve a refugee crisis. He told them, "We are not the only winners. The winner is Turkey." David Garrett, TVB News.
Japan put its ballistic missile defenses on alert today and warned that it would shoot down any projectile that threatened its territory. This comes after North Korea notified Tokyo of its planned satellite launch between May 31st and June 11th. Daniel Rao has details.
North Korea said it has completed its first military spy satellite, and leader Kim Jong-un has approved final preparations for the launch. In response, Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno said Tokyo recognizes there is a possibility the satellite may pass through his country's territory. He added that Japan has put its ballistic missile defenses on alert and that Tokyo was preparing to destroy any North Korean missiles that threaten its territory. Matsuno said preparations were underway to deploy PAC-3 missile units to Okinawa. The high alert order by the Japanese Defense Ministry is the first in response to a North Korean space launch since 2016, when North Korea fired over the island chain. Matsuno made the comments at a regular briefing after revealing that North Korea informed the Japanese Coast Guard about the planned launch. South Korea also warned that North Korea will face consequences if it goes ahead with its launch plan. Analysts say the satellite is part of a surveillance technology program meant to improve North Korea's ability to strike targets in the event of war. North Korean state media has criticized plans by South Korea, the United States and Japan to share real-time data on its missile launches. Pyongyang described the three as discussing sinister measures for tightening military cooperation. In response to what it considers to be an increasing US military presence in Asia, North Korea has conducted a series of missile launches and weapons tests in recent months. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was also pictured inspecting a military satellite facility in May. Dan Rowell, TVB News.
The water in Venice's main canal has turned fluorescent green, and no one knows why. This image shows a sudden change of color on Sunday. Police are investigating to find out if a chemical was added. An emergency meeting has been called to find the cause, and samples have been taken. Environmental activists have been blamed by some, but no group has taken responsibility. Still ahead, Russia launches a new wave of drone and cruise missile attacks on Ukraine's capital. Confirmation that a load-bearing wall was removed from a Lojas Park flat during renovation work. And Kwanghwa Hospital's new accident and emergency department will begin service on Wednesday morning. Welcome back. Ukraine said Russia launched a new wave of air attacks on Kiev in the early hours of Monday using drones and cruise missiles. It was Russia's 15th air assault on the city in May and second overnight attack in a row. Officials say it was of similar intensity to Sunday's attack, which they said was the biggest one on the capital since the start of the war. Nazvi Karim has more.
This is Volodymyr Golubenko, a member of Ukraine's Society of the Blind in Kiev. He stands by as his son Mykola searches the rubble for his father's belongings after the society's building was hit by a Russian drone attack.
I
heard the drones for the first time. I had never heard them before. It was the first time, Volodymyr said of Russia's weekend drone strike, with more of the Iranian-made weapons hitting the capital on Monday. 36-year-old Yana said it was also a first for her, hearing the moped Shahed drone, dubbed as such for the noise it makes similar to that of a moped. Immediately, something started to explode above us, and we run to the corridor, she said. Ukraine residents are used to attacks since the war with Russia began, and there was no let-up on Monday, with Ukrainian officials saying Moscow followed up the weekend's biggest drone onslaught with another barrage of launches. Ukraine said more than 40 targets were shot out of the sky on Monday after a Sunday attack in which 36 drones were downed. This as Ukraine prepares for a major counter-offensive in the eastern regions in a bid to recapture territory from Russia. In his address to the nation, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kiev has seen many atrocities from invaders, surviving them all and never allowing the enemy to enter the capital. Meanwhile, Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko sent out an open invitation to countries wanting to join what is effectively a nuclear coalition. As Russia went ahead last week to deploy tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, Lukashenko, a staunch ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, called on other countries in the region to join the Union State, a borderless alliance between the two countries. If someone is worried, he said, then it's very simple. Join the Union State of Belarus and Russia, that's all. There will be nuclear weapons for everyone. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
The MTR Corporation confirmed that a residential unit at Lojas Park Phase 1, the capital, has removed part of a load-bearing wall during renovation work. That comes after a video went viral online that sparked allegations that the main support structure was removed. MTRC is responsible for the property management of the residential estate. Their staff, alongside buildings department personnel, confirmed the breach of renovation regulations after inspecting the unit's structural safety. The owner of the unit will begin temporary reinforcement works shortly. Kwanghwa Hospital's new accident and emergency department will begin operations on Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. Its entrance has been relocated from Waterloo Road to Pitt Street. The facelift is part of a larger redevelopment project for one of the city's oldest hospitals. Kwanghwa authorities outlined there will be a smooth transition of A&E services from the old building to its renovated version. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Located next to Yamate Station, Kwanghwa Hospital's facade has long been a familiar sight for Kowloon residents. But the over-century-old hospital has been undergoing a large-scale renovation and announced today that it has completed the first phase of its redevelopment project, notably its accident and emergency department. The entrance to the new A&E department has been relocated from Waterloo Road to Pitt Street, which will make it possible for ambulances to park next to the emergency room, allowing patients to get treated sooner. But not everything has changed, as the new department will maintain the colorful wayfinders which patients can use to navigate their way around the hospital. Kwanghwa authorities announced that the new accident and emergency department will begin providing services from 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday. This as they emphasize that they will still receive patients at the old emergency ward that day if cases are urgent. The updated emergency department also pointed out that the improvements in the revamped facilities were made in line with Kwanghwa's Smart Hospital project.
In our new A&E, we have two main systems that we think that it is we incorporate the smart hospital concept. First one is the EAED, that is the electronic system of the A&E department. We use this system to record all the patient details. For example, the drug allergy, the medical history. We also have the patient's drug profile in the system.
Resuscitation rooms at Kwanghwa Hospital's new accident and emergency department are fitted with brand new medical equipment. Some of the newest devices used here include the Smart Drug Cabinet, which allows medical personnel to find out if certain drugs could cause allergies for patients according to the hospital's database. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. Bye.